Hey guys, so I wanted to talk about human tendencies and mind and how our paradigms, which is like the way we view the world, our belief systems, really lend themselves to how we experience reality, ourselves, and the world around us. So I there's a human tendency to want to feel secure and assert your beingness, like I am and I am enough. And this tendency is a universal tendency in humanity that comes from this sense of separation that takes place when mental activity produces the illusion or the experience or the appearance of duality. The mind objectifies things in the present moment, and in that instance it subjectifies itself. When we objectify, we subjectify. We become an object ourselves. We become an object that's in relation to another object, and we're a subjective object, which means that we have a point of view that can know this thing but can't be known by that thing. And the mind loves this, right? Because it feels in control. And that's what the mind's trying to do. It's trying to gather data so that it can be in control. So it goes on labeling all these things and stores it in its data bank. And then the next time it encounters something similar to these things, it doesn't really see the thing in the present moment. When this thought is happening, the mind it pulls up the file of the last time it saw this thing, and it has all this data on it, and it's sort of like it projects that onto some, whatever's happening in the present moment that reminds the mind that seems similar to this object. So when it encounters a similar enough object, it just simply slaps on, and it thereby is creating time, because it's trying to hold a report, a memory bank on reality. And so it has to create memory, and creating memory creates time, or the experience of psychological time. And so when the mind is interacting with this report, this data, it's not really in experiencing the reality unfolding before us. We're not experiencing the moment. We're in our minds, we're in our heads. And there's a tendency to not notice the difference, and that's very problematic. So in times like this, when the mind is comparing, it's trying to sort of calculate and strategize, but there's not enough data. Like, the mind hasn't seen something similar to what's going on right now with this pandemic. So obviously it feels really unstable. And then the other part is that because the mind feels separate, it's been doing this for so long that it feels very finite and separate from life, the essence, the source, the infinite, expanded nature of itself and of every living thing. It wants to feel more of it. It wants to feel more like it feels as though it's not enough. It feels too small for this. It used to be this expanded, amazing, infinite consciousness, and now it's being funneled through this perspective, this point of view of this body-mind system. And because it's identifying with the perspective, it feels very small and limited, so it wants to accumulate more reality. It wants to bring reality closer to itself. So in times when reality, and cultures where reality is perceived to be God, spirit, this cosmic consciousness flow, those cultures are, worshiping those spirit, God energies, and they have symbolic images about these, and they designed ways to be in relationship with reality so they can be really close to it. They want to be close to God or close to spirit or close. They have deities in their house. In our culture, we have the materialistic paradigm, which is basically the new religion of the West, and it makes us want to have more stuff, because the materialist paradigm is saying that reality, the source of all life, is matter, is stuff. Like, so we accumulate stuff. We're obsessed with stuff. Our whole culture. You can convince somebody that they can be happier if they just had one more purse, or if they could upgrade their car to a fancier car. Not that there's any necessity. You can convince somebody who has no necessity for another purse or a fancier car that they would be happier with, a purse with a different name on it, or a car with a different brand on it, only because of the materialist paradigm. You couldn't pull that off. It wouldn't make sense to anybody. But because of the materialist paradigm and this condition of the human experience of feeling finite and separate, then it's very easy to convince people that they can feel more of them, more enough, more secure, more beautiful, more, valuable enough, worthy enough, by accumulating more matter, more stuff. And when this system that delivers this stuff, that delivers the matter, distributes all the physical stuff that we like to accumulate, it becomes threatened, then because we identify so much with the material, finite, temporary things, then we have this, severe reactionary response. Like our psyches are really shaken, because and I'm not saying that there's nothing going on. There is a shift on other levels beyond just the physical level, but that which we are, our source, our essence, is deeper and beyond all of that. It's eternal, invulnerable. And when we're in touch with that, when we're not so caught up in the physical that we sort of take our eyes off of that, it's really effortless to maintain a calmness and peace and joy about, well, it's not about anything. It's just there. It's there without a reason. That's kind of the whole idea, this whole point of it. It just is. Life is just to be. The purpose of life is to live and to express and to enjoy and be in connection and overcome and, have all these opportunities to express in new ways. And that's what consciousness wants to do. It just wants to express, and then it wants to know its expression. Just like the ocean wants to make waves. Consciousness wants to express, form. And that's it. That's my little sharing today. Much love, everybody. Signing out.